Welcome to the Modern V,
a space where the V not only stands for vagina, but voice, vulnerability, and victory.
We're Michelle
And Leilani,
friends for over 20 years, truth tellers and co-hosts.
Together, we're unpacking what we were taught to whisper about: sex, power, identity, and everything in between. Nothing is off limits.
Raw, relatable, and unapologetic. This is how we take back the narrative and make it ours again.
We dive deep into experiences, challenges, and the power of modern womanhood, because women's stories shape culture.
We don't always agree, and that's the magic. Two perspectives, one mission: elevating the voices of women who refuse to shrink.
This isn't just another podcast. It's us rewriting the script.
It's time to get loud.
It's time to get real.
This is the Modern V. Happy 2026, everyone. Before we begin, we want to issue a content warning.
In this episode, Maria discusses the trauma she endured over 20 years of verbal, emotional, physical, sexual, and financial abuse at the hands of a man who took an oath to protect this country, serve his community, and honor his vows to protect her as his wife. But behind closed doors, those promises meant nothing. The red flags showed up early, yet love, loyalty, and commitment can blur what we don't want to face. Hi, Maria. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Why do you feel it's important for your story to be heard?
Because I feel like to make more women aware, because I was not. I didn't know anything about the red flags or anything like that. So I was just, I would like to make other women aware what to look for, because I sure didn't know what to look for at the time.
Absolutely.
So my name is Maria, and I'm 55 years old. And so I want to tell my story of what I went through.
Okay.
Can you just, I guess, start from the beginning of how you and your significant other met, your age, and I guess, how long you guys were together for, and then when everything started to go, bad.
Sure. So it was the first time I saw him was back in January of 92. I was at a mutual friend's birthday party, and we didn't get to meet that night, even though people were trying to get him to introduce us, but he didn't want to, because at the time he had his eyes on somebody else. Fast forward to November of 92, I met him at a mutual friend's wedding. And at the time he was 20 and I was 22. And we got introduced that night for the first time. I was interested at that point at somebody else, but that didn't happen. So then at the end of the night, he came over to me and he said, nice to meet you. And then he turned around, he was going to leave, and he said, well, do you want my number or what? And at first I was like, okay, he's very like arrogant in a way, but I didn't think anything of
Sometimes
it.
it
So,
works for some guys for some
Yeah.
reason.
And some girls too.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And
Being direct.
Exactly. And I found him attractive. I remembered him from like 10 months prior or whatever. So I gave him my number, and that's how it started. I was 2 years older than him. Like I said, he was 20, I was 22. And that's how we started going out. He was there on leave for the holidays, I guess, from the Marines. And we went on a few dates that for that week that he was there, and then he left again. And when he came back in December, we started going out again when he came back for the holidays for Christmas.
And how long did you guys date, before things got really serious?
Literally that month. It
Within
started.
the month, you guys were already official.
Because so I didn't realize then that he was being really controlling. So he gave me his dog tags to wear around.
Oh.
And then a another necklace type thing that he liked to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we would talk on the phone, he would always ask me, "Are you wearing my dog tags? I want to hear them." So then I would have to shake them or
Mm-hmm.
hit the phone with him
Mm-hmm.
on
So
the phone. So
so the controlling started early on.
early on.
And where we would probably think of it as flattering, like, oh,
Sweet.
yeah,
Exactly.
sweet.
He loves me, misses
Oh
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, he's keeping
Yeah.
tabs, but like
Mm-hmm.
early on,
Yeah.
you don't see that as a red flag.
No. And then that I think it was before Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving. Um before he gave me his dog tags, though, we went to another friend's party after our second date or third date,
Mm-hmm.
and he was acting really weird. Um,
Was
and
he
I didn't realize
drinking?
he was, but there was an ex girlfriend of his there,
Mm.
and he got jealous because she was with somebody else,
Interesting.
Wow.
And you
but
guys
he
were
was with me.
together.
Exactly.
Ah.
And I just found that kind of strange. And then fast forward to Christmas time, we were together a month already. That's when he had asked me that he wanted me to be his girlfriend and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when he gave me his dog tags. Well, during that time, I mean, how personal can I get
As
in
personal
this?
as you
As
want.
as much as you want to.
Um, so I told him that I was saving my virginity for marriage. And
Mm.
even though I was 22, he was 20, like I said, but he was trying to have sex with me and I didn't want to. I kept telling him that I wanted to wait.
Was it right away? Like was it within the
Yeah,
month? Oh, it
yeah.
was within the month. Okay.
hmm
Did he what would he tell you when you were telling him I want to save myself for marriage?
He's like, "Oh, okay, I understand." But then the following week, like on New Year's Eve, he proposed to me.
Oh, so he thought that would change.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm
So
gonna get in
then,
your pants.
yeah. So then, me being so naive and vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
I was like shocked and surprised, and I was happy, and
Right,
and
of
I
course.
accepted his
Sure.
proposal. So then after that was when he kept trying and trying. He's like, "Well, we're gonna get married. It doesn't matter, right? We're trying." And after we did, a few days later, because it didn't happen the first night completely,
Mhm.
um, he accused me of not being a virgin. And
What?
he just completely like devastated me because it took 3 days because it couldn't happen because it was painful. You know what I
Right,
mean?
Yeah,
of
But for
right.
course.
him, but because according to him, because I didn't have a full blown period after it happened, I
What?
wasn't a virgin.
That's how little men know
Oh
about women's
yeah.
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. So I did have a little bleeding. It was more like a spotting thing, but
Right.
to him, I wasn't a virgin.
He
So
wanted you to have
he's
a
like,
massacre.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he completely
I'm
tossed
sorry.
me
How
aside.
how how well endowed do you think you are? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Dios
So
mío.
he basically tossed me aside and broke up with me that night, and I was
what?
devastated. Yeah.
Wait, so he break up the engagement as well?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. But
So
then,
trauma was from day one. Oh
yeah.
my
But he
goodness.
wasn't a virgin though.
No.
Oh no, but
No.
that's okay. Oh no, but
Yeah.
Right.
that's okay. Remember, we have
Yeah.
to carry that badge of honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Whatever.
then, the next day or later that night, he apologized and he's like, "It's okay, blah, blah, blah." So he invited me to go to him for a New Year's Eve party to bring in the new year. And it was a few hours later, he apologized. So we went to this party, and then once again, his ex girlfriend was there from high school.
Mm.
And he lost it because she was dancing with another guy or whatever. And then her and other girls were looking at me. So I was like so embarrassed. I didn't know what was going on, but I just remember feeling embarrassed. And then we left that night and he was really mad and he kind of just dropped me off and left. So it's like, looking back now, I think, my gosh, the signs were there from the beginning.
Right.
Why was
Mm-hmm.
I so stupid? Like I
Yeah.
felt like I was so stupid. But then, at that point, I thought I was in love with him. I loved him.
All right.
He was my first, so he was
Oh, so
engaged to
that,
me.
yeah. So your
Yeah,
first, ahí hay un atamiento. You know what I mean? When
Right.
it's
yeah,
your
Yeah,
first,
unfortunately.
yeah.
it's
So then,
embedded.
exactly. So he left to the Marines. He went back,
How long
and
how long
then
was he gone? The period like how long were you guys separated for when he was in the Marine?
uh, he had another like, ooh, I want to say like almost a year left.
Okay.
Yeah. And then during that time, you know, I went to Puerto Rico in February to visit my mom and stuff. And every time he would call me, every time we get a chance, he would always have me, shake my dog tags to make
Oh
sure I
my
was wearing
God.
them all
Jaw.
the time. And it's funny because during my divorce, my mom finally brought it up. And I'm like, why didn't you say something back then? She said, I saw that was controlling, that he was making sure that you were wearing his stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I'm
question,
like,
the
but
dog tags, is that known in in the people in his profession that you're basically belong to him? Was that a thing back then? Like if you're wearing a man's dog tag, then that means
I have no idea, to be honest with you, but because it had his name on it and he's in the service,
Mhm.
I'm guessing a lot of men might give it to their women back home so they
Right.
don't
That's what I'm
forget
I'm I'm
that.
taking from
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
that's what I took from it too.
Okay.
But
Right.
yeah. So yeah, so then fast forward, when he got out of the Marines, uh, we were
That's when you guys
fine.
you guys got married right after he got out of the
No,
Marines?
no, we started living together.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then eventually, little by little, some mutual friends would try to warn me, you got to be careful
Oh
with him.
man.
He's this or that. And like, he's not a good person with his girlfriends. He cheats on them, whatever. And I didn't have an idea. So
Mm-hmm.
one day, he came back after 6 months. He had another leave. And I was waiting with him at the corner by a store, by a bodega. His best friend and his father, the best friend's father, were going to pick him up and take him to the airport. And here comes this girl that looks almost like my twin,
Wow.
the, petite, little, like
Mhm.
Hispanic, Puerto Rican
Mm-hmm.
girl, look almost like me. And she starts yelling at him, calling his name. And she came crossing the street like a bat out of hell. And I'm like, who the heck is this?
Mhm.
So then he's like, Maria, go in that store and wait.
Mm-hmm.
So I listened and I went in the store and I'm walking around the store pretending I'm going to buy something, but I wasn't. And I'm looking and trying to listen. And they're arguing and he's yelling at her. And then and then she leaves. And then he comes in and gets me and walks out. And then I never knew what happened. He wouldn't tell me. He kept telling me, don't worry about it. But I found out years later that at the time that was his girlfriend, but he was with me too. And I didn't know that.
Oh
Oh my
my.
God.
So he was cheating on her with me, but I didn't find this out until many years later
Did she
after.
have dog tags as well?
No,
Okay.
yeah, no, I didn't see nothing like that on her. So, yeah, and then he ended up leaving again. And then he came back, probably during the holidays that time. And from that moment on, yeah, we were just living together. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it was because that was 94, I want to say.
Mhm.
So, like the summer of 95, I found out I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or actually, no, I got to rewind. In January of 95, around there, we broke up because he kept telling me that he didn't want to be in a relationship anymore, that it was too much, that he, wanted to, he was always going out with his friends drinking, coming home the next day, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I was like, fine, it hurt, but I went and got my own place.
Right.
And then eventually he would get really drunk and start coming around in the middle of the night,
Mm.
banging on my doors, banging on the window, banging on the doors. And I would be so afraid that if he will wake up because it was like a forced apartment unit building.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't want nobody to get woken up. So then I would let him in.
Right.
Mm.
And
To avoid
then,
the drama.
yeah. And then the first time that happened, he went crazy. He literally flipped my sofas upside down.
Mm.
He took threw the mattresses off the bed, lifted the bed, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, where is he? Where is he? And I said, what do you mean?
Oh
What?
yeah.
And he was literally saying that I was cheating on him. And I'm like, but
Because he
we're
was
not
cheating
even
on
together.
you.
Yeah. And I'm like, but we're not even together. We haven't been
Mm-hmm.
together.
Yeah.
I moved
But
out on my
according to
own.
him, you're his territory.
Right.
Yeah. And so he literally destroyed my apartment looking for a person. He thought he was hiding under the sofa or under the bed, like he would literally fit under the sofa. You know what I mean? But
Mm-mm.
in his mind, and my kitchen, like he literally tore everything apart. My pantry, like it was crazy. And then after that, he left. Um, I kept going to work. I noticed sometimes he would be following me.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Oh no.
yeah. And then eventually, after some time went by, we got back together. And my friend kept telling me, "Are you sure? I don't know. I don't feel like this is right." And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Well, he seems better now, you know."
Right.
And me thinking, I still have my ring and
Right.
whatever,
Gave him the benefit of
So,
the doubt.
yeah. So then we got back together. And then shortly after that, like a month after that, or a month and a half, I found out I was pregnant with my first son. And he was not happy about it. But then eventually he came around and then we got our own place together. And
Why was he not
but
happy?
I don't know, I'm guessing because he felt like,
He didn't want to be tied down, probably.
yeah, exactly. So we the pregnancy was a bad pregnancy for me. It was
Mm-hmm.
very touch and go. I had to be in bed rest a lot. I was really, really sick from it. And I couldn't work for a while, so he was working.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of okay, but then he started with the drinking and going out with his buddies all the time
Mm.
and not coming home until the next day. And then after my first son was born, he was maybe a month old or two. I kept calling him. I would call him and call him all night because the baby wouldn't stop screaming and he had a fever
Mm-hmm.
and he wouldn't answer. He had a pager, not a
Mm-hmm.
phone, not a cell phone. He had a pager. So I
Right.
kept calling the pager and calling the pager because at that time in the 90s, it was
The
pagers.
90s,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he would never call me back.
Mm-mm.
So he came home really late and he started just blowing up on me and yelling. And I'm like, he's like, "Well, I don't have nothing. See, I don't have nothing." And I said, "You could have deleted the number."
Right.
Right.
I said, "I called you a bunch of times." And then one day I noticed that he had hickeys on his neck.
Uh,
Jesus
So,
Christ.
and at that point, my son was like 5 months old, but I did notice. I got to backtrack because when I was pregnant of him, it happened too. And I questioned him about it, and he tried to tell me that it was nothing, that it was at work.
Wait, una pregunta. When this was happening to you, did you confide in anyone as far as like your family to just, to get help, especially like the first time he came to like threaten you, searching for a man and then just you know what I mean? Did you have anyone that you
Um,
decided like I need to speak to someone?
support.
yeah, it was a friend of mine's, Danette, who now is my best friend. She's been my best friend for
Mm-hmm.
years, but at the
Yeah.
time I had met her, I only knew her for like a month, and she lived upstairs from me.
Right.
Okay.
So I confided in her because I wasn't sure if she heard anything
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So then she just started kind of telling me, be careful. And she kind of
Mm-hmm.
started like taking me under her wing in a way.
Yeah.
So, and then I confided in her and one other person. I really didn't tell my family anything.
Any
I
reason
was
why?
trying, I didn't want to worry my mom, I guess,
Right.
you know,
I get it.
and she lived far. So I didn't want to worry her.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, so he just told me the excuse that he at work he's lifting boxes and then the boxes caused that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "What? Really?" I said, "How is the box gonna cost that?" And then he had was getting dressed and I noticed he had scratches on his back. And I said,
Oh,
"Yeah,
Oh,
none
no.
of that is from the boxes. I'm
Right.
sorry." You know. So, we
those
got
some
into
rough
a huge
boxes.
yeah, so we got into, a huge argument and I would cry and then he would just get really mad and he would leave or he'll throw things. So then
Mm-mm.
after that, when my son was born, he got slightly better, but not
Mm-hmm.
really.
Right.
And then after he was born, I found out when he was like 9 months old that I was pregnant of my second son.
Wow.
And you
How did he
know,
take that news?
oh, he was furious. He was furious, and he's like, I just want to be out with the guys and having fun. And when I'm in the
But he could
dance
use
floor having
protection as
fun,
well.
yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
I can't do that because you pop in my head. Every time I'm trying to have fun out there, you pop in my head. Is what he said. And I told him, you know what? If it's not bad, then go. Go.
Yeah.
I have a job now. I'll figure it out. I'll raise my
Mm-hmm.
kids on my own. I
Right.
said, yeah, I might be hurt and maybe it'll take me a bit to get over you, but whatever. It's fine. Just
Mm-hmm.
go. Be with your friends. Have your fun. Sleep with whoever. Just go.
Yeah.
And I told him that night, I got the nerve to tell him to go. I was like 26 at the time. And I told him, just go. And he left. I don't remember if he left or if he slept on the sofa and I slept in the room. I don't remember. But the next day I went to work. And when I came back home later that night, all of a sudden I hear all this noise, and I'm like, "What the heck's going on?" And he had music playing, and he came with flowers and all of that, and asking me to
Mm,
forgive him.
of
Yeah.
course.
Typical.
So yeah, so then I forgave him, and then I said, but how are we gonna work this out? I said, because you are thinking what you're thinking, and you know, I don't want to get my hopes up again, and then you're gonna act
Mm-hmm.
this way again.
Right.
No, that it's okay, that I thought about it, and I want to be with you, and I want to be with our son, and the next one that's coming, whatever. Right? So I forgave him, and we got back together again.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the I don't know, sometime after my son was born, my second son was born, I noticed that he still wasn't changing, but he
Mm-hmm.
was always home. There was nights where he would still go out with his friends, but he wouldn't be out as late.
Right.
But at one point, things started going downhill again. And then I realized that when he went to sleep one night, I looked and I found phone numbers of this girl in his wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, okay, here we go again. He's probably with somebody else again.
Right.
And after that, when my second son was born, he got really sick at 2 weeks old. And I ended up taking him to the hospital, and he got admitted because at the
Mm-hmm.
time there was a meningitis scare in Chicago.
Okay.
So they wanted to make sure that this newborn didn't have meningitis, because one of his friends and his wife decided to come and visit us to see the newborn while she was sick.
Oh.
Yikes.
And her daughter was sick. So, of course, my newborn got sick right away.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was heartbreaking. I was there alone because he had to stay back with my 1.5-year old.
Right.
And, after that, when I guess he did a lot of thinking, two of his close friends moved to Milwaukee and got hired as police officers, and they were in the police academy. So they convinced him. They're like, "Man, why don't you leave Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
Come out here, become a cop. Leave that life behind." Because where we lived, there was like Latin kings and gangs and all that around
Oh
there
yeah.
Right.
at
A
times,
lot of
and
gangs. Yeah.
That was
yeah,
big
and
back then.
some
Yeah.
yeah. So then he decided to do that. So I said, okay. So then when my second son at the time was like almost 3 months old or about to be, that's when he moved to Milwaukee to become a cop. And
Did
I
you move
stayed
as
in
well?
Chicago. No,
Oh.
I had to stay in Chicago because he was going to stay with them while he did the police academy.
Right.
And once he graduated and started working, he was going to
Mm-hmm.
find a place for us.
Okay.
So I stayed back and, struggling
Mm-hmm.
with two babies, basically, every morning trying to walk out to walk 2 buildings down to my mother-in-law's to take them to her. And at times it was hard because, it would be like 6:30, 7 in the morning,
Mhm.
and I would hear shooting outside.
Oh my
So then
Okay.
God.
I would have to freeze in the stairway and just wait until I didn't hear nothing else so I could walk
Mhm.
to go take them to her.
So a
And,
question, your mother-in-law was in the same building, right?
no, I was a building, 2 buildings down.
Two buildings. So during that time that you guys that you and your ex were having issues, did you ever confide in your mother-in-law, or did
Oh,
she ever say
yeah.
anything about her? And what would she
Yeah.
say?
She's like, hi, Jolie, she called him. She's like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do with him. And that's it. That's all she would say.
Yeah.
And she
You
would never
know,
confront him. She would never say
no,
anything. Did
no.
she ever say, "Oh, his dad used to be like that," or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The cycle.
Yeah.
Like it's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
normal, normalized,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially her generation.
Oh yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Did
So,
he have siblings también?
oh yeah, he had 3 brothers and a sister.
And
Are
were
they
the
the
were the
same?
other siblings the same that you
Pretty
know of?
much, pretty much. The brothers were heavily into drugs, so they were always
Mm.
in and out of the
Oh
streets
wow.
or jail or
Oh
whatever.
wow.
And the sister was home. Well, at that time, the sister had, when I met him, the sister was in high school still.
Okay.
She was a senior, started her senior year, and she got tired of all the problems and things, so she kind of
Mm-hmm.
went left with her boyfriend at the time. They ran away, and she went to
Oh
Florida
my
to live with
God.
him.
Wow.
Okay.
So yeah, so then it was just him at the time
There was a
there.
problematic household he was in.
It was, yeah. So it
Mhm.
started like that with the father always abusing the mom and
Yeah.
Oh my.
and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
they grew up with all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then I um
So
One day,
Milwaukee. So once he's in Milwaukee, what happens once that whole
well, once it's in
situation?
Milwaukee, the situation changed again because then he was being very angry with me all the time.
Long
You know,
distance? What are you doing long distance? How can someone get mad at you for?
exactly. And then he would come over once a month, maybe, to see
Mm-hmm.
me and the kids,
Right.
if and he if he could, and then he would just be really quick. Give the kids a kiss and me, and then he would leave and go out with his friends in Chicago and go drinking and come back the next day. So, it started all over again. And then I would
Mm-hmm.
call him and I would call him crying because then at one point I was getting evicted from the building I lived in because I stopped paying the rent because
Mm-hmm.
the landlord, I found out, was stealing heat from my apartment.
Oh.
So he had a carpet place
Mm-hmm.
underneath a bit his
Mm-hmm.
business,
Right.
and he had all the heat and air and all that connected to uh my meter.
Jesus.
Wow.
So when my first bill came over $1,000,
Mm-mm.
um, I was freaking out. I'm like, "What's this?" So then the company tried to come out and do an investigation, and that's when they
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
found that out. And I stopped paying rent because I said, "You either pay this electric bill
Sure.
because I'm
Right.
not paying it, or you're stealing from me." But he kept
Exactly.
denying it. So then I ended up moving, and I had to do it by myself with my stepfather at the time because my stepfather was back in Chicago, and
Mm-hmm.
he helped me a little. So he went to stay with somebody else, and then he moved to Puerto Rico. He went back, and then I ended up moving with a friend of mine's because she had
Mm-hmm.
an extra room. But it was very uncomfortable after a while.
Of
You
course.
might be close and stuff, but after a while, you start feeling like you're a bother.
Right.
And she was telling me, "Why are you with him?" Like she would
Mm-hmm.
notice things, and she would get really angry at the things that he would do. And then I ended up, because I knew I was being a bother and things, there was friction between me and my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up having to move in with my in-laws, which I didn't want to do
Right.
because they were always bickering. And then
Mm-hmm.
it was me in one little bedroom with my two boys. So then
Right.
my 1.5-year-old would sleep with me, and then I had a little playpen thing that I would put the baby in
Mm-hmm.
and next to the bed. And at the time I was getting help for the government, so I would have WIC and I would have all these powder formulas under my bed, my clothes, everything, and I would have to keep like a padlock or a combination lock on my door so his brothers wouldn't steal my stuff.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
And eventually I
How
would
long
go,
did you last with your in-laws?
uh probably 2 years. It was rough.
Damn.
It was rough, but then after that
What
I
was the
moved.
last straw that you said that's it, no
The
more?
last straw was that because I kept calling him, I would come home crying, and my door would be, my room was open. They would steal all the baby's formulas. They would steal my clothes, their clothes. They would leave me with very little stuff. So then I would have to somehow try to figure out how to get more clothes for us. I had to get formula, and there was never any food, and I would buy food so we could have food to eat. And the parents would let them come in all high at 1 in the morning, and they would eat everything that I would buy, and then they would be sleeping on the living room floor smelling like crap, you
Oh.
know while and I would wake up in the morning and I wouldn't have food, anything for me or the kids. So then the last straw was, I guess, he would yell at me over the phone, what the hell do you want me to do? That's not my problem. I'm over here in
Mm.
Milwaukee, blah, blah, blah. So I guess when he came one day as a surprise, he didn't tell anybody. And I was working at a high school at the time in the office. And he showed up, and all of a sudden, I didn't know he was there, but then he
Yeah.
showed up at my work.
Uh-oh.
And he's like, "Put in your 2 weeks notice because I'm taking you to Milwaukee." And I was like, "What? What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I came to my parents' house, and what the hell? My nasty brothers are on the floor sleeping." And my second son at the
Mm-hmm.
time, he was like 5 months old, no, seven
Right.
months old, and he's on the little swing in the living room, and between this nastiness, and then my son was on the floor next to them. And the last straw was that my
I'm
one and a
sorry. What
half
were
year
you
old.
listening to when I was
Right.
telling you my grievances? Like, what
Right.
the
You didn't care.
hell?
You said that wasn't your problem, but now it's a problem.
Exactly.
Exactly,
So you thought I was
exactly.
lying.
I guess he thought I was lying. So for him to see it from his own eyes, and then because what happened was my mother-in-law called me crying, screaming
Mm-hmm.
because my 1.5-year-old grabbed the methadone from one of them and he almost ate it.
Oh,
So when she caught him on time, so then that's what was the last straw. And he says, we're going. And I put in my 2 weeks notice and then he moved me out here and I've been in Wisconsin since.
Wow.
Yeah. So being in Wisconsin, it wasn't easy either. It was easier because it was a calm place. I was away from all of that.
Mm.
It was just me, him, and the boys. He was working as a cop, so I was at home alone for
hmm.
his 8, 12-hour shifts. I was home with the
So
boys
he
all the
was a cop
time.
first.
Yeah,
Okay. But then
yeah,
he went into the fire department después, ¿no?
exactly. Yeah. So then it was nicer. I was at home with the kids. I was able to raise them. They were safe, and I started doing things that I needed to do right away, like toileting my oldest son and things like that. But then
Was your
even
relationship better when you guys and like moved to like a different
yeah,
environment?
yeah, it was a little bit better, but not completely. He was still going out with his friends,
Hmm.
drinking, staying out all night sometimes, but not. He wouldn't do it as often.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually the dynamics changed again, and normally when those dynamics change in my heart, I always felt, okay, he's cheating on me again.
Right.
Right.
Something else
Oh,
is going on
instinct,
again.
Yeah. Women's
Yeah,
intuition.
Yeah.
yeah. And that's how it went from that was 98, May of 98, until like probably 2014 when I moved out during our divorce or when the divorce started. Because it was like that. It was on and off. It would be good
Did
for
he
a
ever
little
did he
bit.
ever put his hands on you?
Yeah, a lot when he come home drunk. Like he would poke me really hard on the arm to wake me up, or he would push me and until I fell off the bed, throw me off the bed, or he would pull me by the hair off the bed. There was times where he would like push me against the wall, or when he would be really drunk like that, I would literally, when he would start doing that, I would get off the
Hmm.
bed and I would leave the room right away. But then he would come after me. So what would save me every time was I would just be on one end of the table, kitchen table, and he'll be on the other end. So if he went left, I would go right and
Oh my
vice versa.
God.
And we would be
Wow.
like that for like
For
an
you to have to
hour or two.
strategize that, an
Yeah.
escape route, basically.
Yep. And that would be pretty much almost every other night or a couple of nights a
Jeez.
week or whatever. But or he would come home furious because whoever he tried to pick up rejected him, and he
What?
would take it out on me. So then he would basically, which I didn't know until I was in therapy that it was rape, but he would basically rape me all the time, and I would be just laying there crying, pretending I was somewhere else because it hurt so bad, and I couldn't get him off of me. And at times I feel like I was gonna die because I couldn't breathe because he was so heavy, intoxicated on top of me. So it was hard. It was a lot.
So sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think I was
Oh
gonna
my God.
cry because it's been so
No.
long,
That's
but
traumatic.
No, it is.
It's traumatic.
because he would always accuse me of cheating while he was doing that and calling me a whore and saying, "Did you have fun sleeping with everybody in the neighborhood?" and things like that, telling me that I was worthless or I looked like a crackhead or whatever all the time. So, yeah,
Mind you, she's drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, she is.
Like I think he did such a mental manipulation with you. Like I don't even know where to begin. Like I don't think I've ever seen such a hold on someone, you know?
But that's how it starts
He
though.
knew like
Hmm.
the fact that he somehow read you and was like, this is the one that came in, you're gonna she's gonna let me get away with murder.
yeah. Um, After a while, my third son was born. Um,
Was he happy about that one or he still wasn't happy?
um, that's funny you asked because he
Yeah,
blew
because
up
it just seems
again.
like, oh,
Yeah, no,
wow.
he blew up again, but and I told him, what the hell do you want me to do? You don't allow me to be in birth control. You don't want to use condoms. And he's like, well, it's your job to
Wait,
put
why
the
didn't he
condom
want
on
you on
me.
birth control?
Because he says that he never gave me an excuse. He said he didn't want me to do that. That's horrible for my body, is
Hmm.
what he would say.
But
But then you don't
Um,
want to take care of your kids.
yeah. And then I
you know
keep
what that
it.
but also men that are controlling and super jealous, they feel like when a woman is on birth control, that gives her leeway to sleep around.
Oh yeah, because you think, oh yeah, we can't
Yeah.
get pregnant by
Oh,
somebody else.
yeah,
So
that's
it's
true. I
possible
never
that
thought of it.
he's thinking about that.
Yeah, I
That's
never
why my
thought
mom
about it
used
that
to
way.
say, las señoras de back in the day, like our grandmothers, they
Mm-hmm.
would have
Hmm.
10 to 14 kids because
I mean, no había
there was
maná.
no birth control and they wanted to make sure that they weren't sleeping around.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
they
they were
kept
still
them
Oh.
sleeping. But
pregnant.
they were still sleeping around, a lot of them.
Yeah,
I mean, it's true though.
yeah.
So viejo de antes no eran fácil.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So all he said was he got mad and he said it was my job to put his condom on. And then I told him, no, it's not. Like, you know. So after he blew up, he showered, he got ready to leave, he put on his police uniform, and then he slammed the door. This was all next to my at the time 2-year-old and almost 4-year-old. And then he opened the door and came back in and he got on his knees and he kissed my stomach and then closed the door and left again.
What?
Yeah.
Would
It
he
was
would
just
he would he ever have relations with you while your children were like in the room or sleeping in the
no,
bed or?
no. That no, he wouldn't do. Um I know. Oh, there was one time I remember something that happened when I was trying to break up with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm backtracking to when I was pregnant with my second son. That I was trying to break up with him that night before we went to sleep. He told me, "If we get separated, we break up. Over my dead body would I sleep?" And he gave somebody's name, and I looked at him and I said, "What? What do you mean?" And he's like, "I'm just telling you." And I said, "Okay." And it was because he knew that that friend of his was attracted to me.
Oh.
Maria, for the
Yeah.
record, everyone's attracted to you.
I don't think so, but okay, if you say
Oh, but
so.
you're beautiful.
Well, I don't know. I guess
No, you are.
I'm
No, I don't
working
know.
on it.
You
Because
are.
you know
You're
what it is?
beautiful.
He beat you down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
but you
plays into
are.
here. And your self-worth, he put it through the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
POS.
So, yeah, our third son came. Things seemed to get a little better, but not really. It was just for little periods of
It's
time.
like I feel like every time you have a child, things get slightly better, but it's short-lived.
It's
Right.
short-lived. Yeah. Yeah. And then during that time, we found out he went to the doctor, and the doctor told him that he was bipolar and he had PTSD and stuff from the wars and whatnot too.
Yeah.
And when he grew up, so then he got on medication, but he didn't like the way the medication was making him feel. Like at first,
Mm.
Mm.
he got way better for like, it takes a while for that your
Mm-hmm.
body to get used to it.
Right.
So it took like about a month or two, and then he was doing so much better. We were happier. And then something snapped on him, and he's like, I don't need nothing to control me, and da da da. So he stopped. And then things got even worse once he stopped that. And he would just say, I don't need nothing to control me. And these people tell you what you want to hear, and
Right.
they don't know what they're saying. And then, or I'm like, but you were better with that. And he's like, no, I wasn't better. He goes, you're my disease. You need to learn to live with it and control
What?
me and da da da, control it,
Oh my
And
God. He definitely
so,
needed medicine and psychiatric help.
yeah. So eventually that's how it went. And then,
Maria, were you ever
I,
scared because he was a cop and he did have a gun? Were you ever scared that, in those moments that he would ever use that against you or your children?
honestly, that never crossed my mind, to be honest with you. I know he kept it in a locked box, way up high in the closet, but
Yeah.
I was afraid only that he would hurt me with his hands,
Mm.
because of what he would do when he was drunk. Or I was afraid because um when we would be in the kitchen, like he'll be like a like
Puffing and
breathing like
puffing.
that,
Yeah.
angry,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then he would turn around and look at the knives and then look at me and look at the like I think he was doing it more mentally, like intimidating me. But
Right.
so and it worked, but I was never scared that he was gonna actually do. But but then that's how most of us women think, right? Until it
Yeah.
happens
Yeah.
to some.
Exactly. Exactly. And
So
sometimes we think, oh, he gets like that because I mean so much to him. It's
I
crazy.
It's a mind
yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I don't think I ever thought that. I never thought that I really meant a lot to him, to be honest.
Was there anything in between baby number 3 and 4? I really don't want to use their names, by the way.
No,
So
of course we
Yeah,
can't. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, there was, and I think I was 13 weeks pregnant when I lost that one. But that was a whole another ordeal. It really didn't have anything to do with him per se. When I had to go to a new doctor because his, for some reason, the city changed insurance that year.
Mm-hmm.
So the doctor that I had for my third son and all that, I ended up having to switch, which I was so upset about because I really liked my doctor. And this new doctor, the first and only checkup I had with him, actually was the second checkup. The first one I had, it didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. Something
Right.
was off about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember I froze. I just froze there and I just clenched the sheets and I just froze because something didn't seem right.
Mm-hmm.
And
When the doctor checked you?
yeah.
Okay.
And then the second time it was the same thing because then I was pregnant and I just remember feeling really stressed and I was like scared and not feeling right. And after that, there was a lot of things happening and then I started spotting and then I went to the emergency room. They did an ultrasound and they realized that the fluid was gone
Oh, the
from the,
amniotic fluid. Okay.
yeah. So then they sent me to do another special ultrasound, a diagnostic one, and then they found out that there was no heartbeat.
Mm.
So then I lost the baby. And then months later in the news, um, my doctor's name and face pops up. And
Hmm.
I'm like, what the hell? So I woke up, I was like, it was late at night, I'm watching the news.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were saying that he was arrested for
Mm.
molesting his patients. And if you're one of them, to,
Report it.
reach out and report it. So I jumped and I was like, I just froze because then I realized I was right. What I was feeling then
Right.
wasn't right.
Right.
Because of the way he was examining me, he took forever and his demeanor changed, his voice changed, and he was trying to talk in a seductive voice when he was examining me and doing what he was doing. So I got up and I went and I talked to him and I told him about it. And he's like, "What? Why didn't you tell me this before?" And I was like, I wasn't sure. I didn't know. And so then, and I started crying and I'm like, I think that's why I lost the baby because I was so scared when it was happening and stuff like that. So then I ended up going the next day. I called and then I made an appointment and they told me to come down to the police station to report
Mm-hmm.
it. And when I walked in, everybody got quiet. And I'm like, why the hell is everybody looking at me like that?
Mm-hmm.
And then they
So they
finally
know,
like,
did that department know you were his wife? You're,
no, it was a different department, but
gotcha. Okay.
yeah. So then when the female officer and the male officer came and talked to me, they told me, we're sorry, because they saw the look on my face. They're like, we didn't mean to react that way. It's just that you look exactly like his second wife,
Oh my God.
the doctor's second wife, or whatever. So
Oh,
yeah, so yeah, and then I told him everything that happened and
Mm-hmm.
how I just felt the way he was touching constantly and doing things that I knew it wasn't a regular doctor checkup,
sure.
but I
You
Right.
know.
froze.
Hmm.
I froze. And they're like, yeah. And then I'm like, do I have to testify? And they're like, honestly, probably not, because we have so many witnesses, so many women that
Oh
it's
my
happened to that
God. Yeah.
you might not need to. So thank God I didn't. So then after that, that's why I lost my fourth. My fifth was my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was the only one we actually talked about maybe having one more. That was the only one we actually talked about, that it wasn't that it just happened and he was angry because it just happened, even though he knew he didn't allow me to be on birth control.
Right.
But so this the only one that we actually tried and we're trying to get pregnant. So when I found out I was pregnant in October of 2006, I called them at work. I was so excited. I called
Mm-hmm.
them. I was actually happy to tell them because we were talking about it and planned it.
Right.
And to my surprise, he went off over the phone at work while in front of other firefighters. He just started going off on me and yelling at me. And I was so confused. And I'm like, what the heck? I said, but we talked about it. We were
Mm-hmm.
planning this, and he got really mad and he's like, oh my gosh. Da, da, da. So, it just, my happiness went down to
Right.
sadness and stuff, and being worried again, feared. And then 2 weeks after that, he ended up getting hurt on the job in a fire. And he 2 months after that was his first surgery. He had ended up having to have surgery on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was in December of 2006. And or January, he had his first one. So then he had to go on leave because his pain wouldn't go away, and that's when he found out. So he tore something, so he needed to have surgery. So while I was 4 months pregnant in January or so, I had to take care of him, wake up every 2 hours or so to disconnect him from an ice machine, to help him get up to go be able to use the bathroom. I was helping him take baths. I was helping him do everything.
And manage all your children
Yes,
and
and my
yourself.
pregnancy, yeah, and being exhausted from being pregnant and not being able to sleep right because I was
Mm-hmm.
taking care of him. Um, in March, he had the second surgery, same thing, and obviously he was home all the time because he couldn't go out because he was recovering and all that
Right.
stuff. In May, he had his third,
Mm-hmm.
but what happened in May was he wasn't listening to the doctors, and he decided to do a project to remodel the bathroom and in the kitchen and do tile floors.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm about like 8 months pregnant or 7 months pregnant. So that put a lot of stress on me because I had to go to the neighbors to use the bathroom because we didn't have a
Oh
bathroom for
my
like a full day or two.
God.
And that was horrible.
Great
Like,
timing.
so yeah. So then not only did he mess himself up because he ended up getting a hernia, which he had to
Mm-hmm.
have operated, but I ended up going into premature labor from
Oh.
the stress. But then I ended up in the hospital overnight and they stopped it. So they told me, you need to take it easy. And I was taking some pills
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Right.
So it was fine. But yeah, so then after that, I had her at the end of June, towards the end of June, 3 days before my birthday. And so she was like a week before the due date, so it was fine. She
Mm-hmm.
was, she was
Yeah.
born full term, and things seemed okay. He was happy. We had a little girl. The brothers were happy and stuff like that. But then in November of that year of 2007, things changed again, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. I think he met somebody else.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then
Was he back at work after the surgery or?
he had the fourth one in September, so he didn't go back to work until December of that year. So he was out a whole year.
So
Okay.
how was he? So
Working.
so he was out like during the time, like what time did he have to meet somebody?
Oh, because he was already recovered from his last surgery, so he started going out again.
How was he during
Yeah.
that period, that the year that he was home? Like, how was his
Um,
demeanor?
it was on and off, but it was a
Didn't go.
slightly better because, he would sleep a lot.
Because of the
And
medicine.
that, and just, I think he became depressed more again,
Mm.
so he was just
Mhm.
sleeping a lot all the time.
Right.
And plus, he had 4 surgeries in a 9 month span or 8 month span.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow, that's a
a
lot.
lot of his time was recovering too,
Right.
Um, and so he was better. But then in November was when it happened that he met somebody else again, and I found the phone number.
Mm-hmm.
I called the person, and I actually talked, and she's like, "Well, he says that you're this and that, and that,
Mm.
you treat him bad and all this stuff." And I'm like, "No, that's not true. We just had our fourth kid.
Oh my God.
Right.
And and then I found out she was a lot older than me too at the time.
Mm.
So, I confronted him with it one time because he was getting ready, dressed up to go out and putting cologne on and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so what, you're going out to meet her? And because I heard him talking one night on the phone too with her.
Mm.
He was in the basement and I was upstairs. And
So he had the audacity to be talking to his
yeah.
Side
chicks
chick.
in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I said, how is it that you laugh and you tell her everything about what you do at work and what's going on in your life, but yet you can't even talk with me? Every time I try to have a conversation with you, you blow up on me or you ignore me. And if I ask you again, because I think you didn't hear me,
Mm-hmm.
you snap and you blow up on me, which makes me jump. And that's how it was always. We barely ever communicated because
Right.
it only had to be whatever he needed or what
Yeah.
he
Mm-hmm.
wanted to talk
It's
about,
control.
but
Yeah.
nothing else. Yeah. So, and he's like, oh, because it's worth us talking to you. I could talk to her
Wow.
better and stuff like that. So, it's just how it was all the time. And then um,
When was the last straw for you? Like what said, you know what? Ya no más.
after that, we had a long talk because um, that was December. And then in March, we ended up driving to Florida for my sister's wedding.
Mm.
We didn't talk the whole way there. We
Wow,
didn't
that's a long
communicate.
drive.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't communicate while we were down there. And when I was at my sister's wedding, now, dressed up and stuff,
Hmm.
apparently all the men were looking at me. I didn't notice,
Of
but
course.
um,
What year? What year was this?
2007 in March.
Okay. So
So I
okay.
was about to be, uh, I don't know, I was going to be, I don't even know, 30, I was 37, 30, I
Yeah.
was about
I
to
mean,
be, yeah, 2008, sorry, I was about to be 38.
mhm.
Um, and they were all, when we were going back home,
Hmm.
we went through the whole state of Florida. We were in Georgia. And finally he says, no, he was trying to touch my leg and
Mm.
stuff. And I pushed his hand away because I was driving at that point.
Hmm.
And then he kept trying to touch me. And I'm like, stop, don't touch me. I said, I don't want you to touch me. I don't want anything to do with you.
Right.
And like, because we were about to stop at a hotel. So I guess he was trying to sleep on me. And I was like,
Oh
no,
yeah.
I wasn't
Oh,
having
but,
it.
but but you were good for that.
Yeah. So exactly. So then he's like, then that's when he broke his silence. And he goes, I realized something at your sister's wedding and everybody looking at you. And I was looking at everybody and I realized that you were the most beautiful woman there. And that was the only time he ever said any type of compliment to me or anything.
Oh.
And he's like, so yeah, I realized that. And that was it. And he kept trying to touch me. And I was like, just leave me alone. And then after that, when we got home, we had a long talk. And I told him how I felt. And I told him that I didn't want to be married anymore because we took
Hmm.
another vacation in Wisconsin. We went to the Dells and we were at a water park. And I was just sitting there looking sad, to him, but in my mind, I was looking happy because I was thinking of what could be.
Right.
At that point, I was already thinking, I was daydreaming, in other words, of being with somebody else, being happier.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it sounds stupid and crazy to say because I was
We're done.
fantasizing in a way, but it
Hmm.
was making me happy,
Yeah.
you know, because I somehow, it's so stupid. I kind of, my celebrity crush. So I was fantasy that I was with him and that he was treating me amazing and making me feel like a princess and making me feel like a woman and just being very loving and kind. So
That was your
that,
way of escaping the
yeah.
situation.
So I guess that was, yeah, I escaped and he realized what the hell's going on with her.
Hmm.
She seems like she's smiling. She's not even paying attention to us. She's not even paying attention to me.
Right.
And that's how it started. So then when we had the conversation and I told him, I'm done. I don't want to be with this anymore. I want a divorce. I told him. And the thing is that I didn't say for years before that, after every kid, pretty much, there was times that he would come home drunk and say he wanted a divorce, that he didn't want to be with me. He would do
Um,
that all the time too.
Oh, I
Typical.
bet. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
always do that.
Drop the D
Yeah.
word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then the next day he was like, he never said it. And then,
Hmm.
and so on. So this time it came out of me this time.
Mm.
And I said, and he was like shocked. And I
Right.
Was he
said,
furious?
he was upset at first, yeah, but then he started thinking, I said, I can't do this anymore. You're always cheating, and then you're accusing me of cheating when I'm not cheating. And he's like, you want to know how? And then that's when he got mad. He goes, you want to know how my brain works? When you leave here with the kids to go do groceries, you take the kids to your mom and you drop them off and you get in the car with him. And then, your
What?
mom goes to the groceries or he gets in the car
But
with you. And
who's
I said,
him?
exactly. And I said, him, who? And he's like, whoever. And I'm like, but that's the thing. That's crazy. And I said, and my mom, what car is she going to use to do the groceries? She
Right.
doesn't have a car.
Were all those
Like,
kids?
what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, you could ask the kids. I always take them with me. They're always with me at the store. And
Right.
no matter how fast I try, and I'm rushing and I'm always speeding or going fast in the grocery store, because no matter how long I take, or even if I come back quick, you still think I'm cheating on you. So that
Yeah.
was my life. That's another thing. I was always rushing. I was always speeding everywhere. I was driving fast. I was rushing wherever I was, because if I didn't make it home fast enough, he was going to think I was cheating. So that was
Oof.
another thing that I always
Isn't
had to
that when
go through
he
too.
started comparing receipts to see how long it took you to go
At
from?
times, yeah. Or, and I finally yelled and I said, what do you think that when I walk in, they're like, Maria's here. We have your list ready. We have your groceries ready. And they're supposed to have everything ready for me so I could be in and out of there in a few seconds. Like, no, that's not how it works. I would tell him, you know?
But then you weren't
So,
allowed to question his whereabouts.
no, I wasn't. And at that point, we kind of separated. He said he was going to go stay at a friend's. He said, think about it. And then he went to a trip to Puerto Rico by himself with a
Mm-hmm.
couple friends. And then he called me from there and that he was started thinking. And he's like, yeah, I get it. And I said, no, you're going out with this person. You're going to meet her. And you're
Right.
telling me that that's not the same thing. And I'm like, no. I said, what if I was doing that? And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, then when you came home, all your stuff would have been outside. I would have thrown everything out and you would have been
Oh,
kicked out
well,
of the
there
house.
you go.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, but it's okay for you to do it. Oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
different.
Mm.
It's
It's
different.
different.
Oh, of course it is. It's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
different.
Because I got extra meat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then after that, after I opened up and said that, I think we were together maybe it was another 4 or 5 years
Oh,
before
wow.
I, c- it was really bad. Things got really bad. And then I noticed he was following me. And I was like, why is he following me? I don't understand. And then I didn't see him anymore behind me. So then I went to Walmart and then I was looking in an aisle and then I turned around to move and then he was standing behind me with his arms crossed and I jumped so high because I got so scared. Like I didn't see that coming. And
Right.
he's like, when you leave here, you're going to go across the street to the bank and there's a person waiting for you to notarize some papers. And I'm like,
What?
what for what? And he's like, just go and do it. So then I left and I went there and I looked at the man. He's like, are you Maria? And I said, yeah. And he goes, here, I'm going to notarize. And I'm like, what are you notarizing? What is
Mm-hmm.
this? And he's like, divorce papers.
Oh.
So then out of nowhere, 4 years later or whatever, 5 years later, he started it.
Mm.
It was probably more like 3 years because my
Right.
daughter she was 3. Well, turned 3. So, and then I was like, what? And he's like, you didn't know about this? And I said, no.
Mm-hmm.
So then after I did that, apparently, fast forward months later, a year later, it happened again because he forgot to turn something in or whatever. So then the process started again. But this time, he's like, get in the car, we're going somewhere. So then he took me to the courthouse.
Mm.
And when we walked in, he sits in a room, in a chair, and he tells me, go up to the window and tell a lady your name. And I'm like, why? Why are we here? Like, he would never
Right.
tell me anything. I told her my name. She brings a stack of time is the whole thing. And I said, she goes, you need to sign here. And I'm like, what am I signing? And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
divorce papers. So I just remember that there was one line with my name and a line with his name that he had already signed. So
Oh.
I don't understand how he was able to do all this without me being present.
Mm-hmm.
But I never knew it. I thought it was weird, but I signed it.
Right.
When we were going through the process and
But real quick, aren't you supposed to have a lawyer review the divorce papers before you sign?
You should. It is suggested that you do have
yeah,
so
so
each
I
person
didn't,
He
has their
yeah,
didn't.
own
So
attorney.
again, he's still controlling
yeah, yeah,
even trying to navigate around the divorce.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So and I didn't know anything about it. And, because I was already at a point where I was
You were
done.
You were
So I
desperate.
tired.
signed it.
Yeah, yeah. You were
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
And then we went home. Not a word was said. Then the arguments got worse and worse, and he was even being more abusive verbally, mentally, more gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
And
Once
then
he was in, he was more abusive verbally once out the house.
no, he was back in the house.
When did you guys decide to like? I mean, now you're divorced, right? So
No,
when is
we
this
were
up?
not. No,
Oh,
it took four
still.
years. It took 4 years
Wow.
because he was controlling everything.
So once it officially happened, how was your relationship once he was out of the house?
Oh, it was even worse.
Really?
Yeah, because I had to leave the house.
Really?
Yeah,
The house where you
because
had with the house with you and your children,
With
you
the
had
kid.
to leave?
yeah, yeah.
Was that part of the agreement that you signed and you didn't realize it or?
No, while we were going through the divorce, the dynamics were so bad, and the judge was so tired of banging the thing to him because he kept interrupting, and every time I had to
Mm-hmm.
talk, he kept interrupting me and wouldn't let me talk. The judge said somebody has to move out of the house because this ain't continue like that. and he was going to give us a month only into the next hearing. So
Mm-mm.
he wasn't going to leave, and he told me over my dead body, would I leave? He says, you have another thing coming. If you think I'm going to leave my house and leave you here with the kids while I go to a shitty apartment, there's no way. So
So
I
he
ended up
prefers that
having
you
to
guys
leave.
went to a shitty apartment
Yeah.
with kids. Oh, that's
hmm
nice.
Yeah. So I ended up
He's a
having
piece
to
of
leave.
work.
Yeah.
And he says, by the time I'm done with you, you're not going to be able to afford not even a tank of gas, which he made good on his promise. You know, he got everything he wanted. So
Wow.
I ended up moving out, and it was really hard because the first night he kept the kids from me. He didn't let them go with me. So you can imagine how that went. Emotionally, it just tore me apart. So, because my daughter cried so much because she didn't want to stay, she wanted to be with me.
Aw.
Yeah, so it was hard. The first few years were really, really hard. Yeah.
How did you I mean like the kids, right? Seeing I mean, did the kids see a lot of this stuff between you guys, or it was mostly
During the
behind?
divorce, yes. During the divorce, yes. Growing up, the older two saw the most.
Mm-hmm.
And then my third son, because they're in their 20s. So yeah, they saw quite a bit, especially the middle one. The middle one
Right.
saw the most because he was the lightest sleeper. So he would wake up in the middle of the night, like when he would be pulling my hair or hurting me, and he would get in between and try to punch him with his little hands, saying, leave her alone, you're hurting her. And, he was the only one that saw more and would try to defend me more. And he's the one that goes through the most nowadays, too.
Yeah, so you have so in total you have four children.
Yeah.
How has that affected each of them? Well, you just said that the middle one has been struggling. How has that affected all of them separately?
It's affected them because I feel like they all have some type of sadness or
Mm-hmm.
anger or depression.
Right.
My middle son, the most.
Mm-hmm.
He has the most characteristic as his father, which
Mm.
I feel bad. So, and he knows it and he sees it, so he
Right.
struggles with it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He's constantly on and off with his girlfriend. So
Is he
that's the
seeking
pattern.
therapy?
No, I tried to get him therapy when he was like 14 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he found out, it was a huge argument and he made it stop.
Mm.
The same thing when I tried to get my daughter therapy, it was a
Mm-hmm.
huge argument. He made me look like a fool and an idiot in front of the principal. We had a meeting in front of the principal and the counselor when she was a freshman in high school, and he put me through the floor in front of them and made me look like I was such a horrible person and a liar because I didn't tell him that she was going to therapy, which I did. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't tell him the first time because I knew how he would react
Right.
because he didn't want nobody to know how he is and what he's going through because then they will call child services or have her just stay with me. And then the second time I had to start it, I did tell him, and he was furious. And I'm like, you know what? When she's with me, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
And I finally put my foot down and I told him. But then when we went with the meeting with the principal, he lied and said that he didn't know about it. And then, and I told him because I said, yes, you did. And I said, it doesn't matter whether I tell you I'm doing it or not doing it. It doesn't matter because you get angry either way,
Right.
you know? So yeah, and the other two didn't get therapy. My youngest son, he's doing the best out of the three boys.
Mm-hmm.
He has an amazing job. He makes a good amount of money. I
That's
mean, he
good.
lives on his
Good.
own.
Mm-hmm.
He has a great head on his shoulders. He
Yeah.
he is the sweetest. He does everything the way it's supposed to be. He has
Mm-hmm.
an amazing relationship with his girlfriend. She'll
Mm-hmm.
be graduating next year as a doctor in physical therapy.
Nice.
You
Great.
know, they have a great relationship. They don't live
Mm-hmm.
together because he doesn't want to live together with nobody until they get married.
Right.
I'm sure, even though they don't live together, I'm sure they have, a normal boyfriend girlfriend relationship. But,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's doing everything the way it should be. My oldest, I feel bad for him because he's more like me.
Mm-hmm.
He has a little bit of the anger issues like his dad and stuff, but he controls it and he goes to church a lot. He's
Yeah.
really big into church.
He's more
Yeah.
self-aware about it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it breaks my heart because every relationship he's had, he always tells me, Mom, it's like I'm you in the relationship, and she's like, Bah,
Mm.
she's like my dad. And so he's been in relationships before where women have abused him. So
Oh.
it breaks my heart because he's going to be 30 in February. He's 29, and he really, really, he's always wanting to be married and have kids, but he
Mm.
just hasn't found that person.
Right.
And
Right.
he's such a good guy too, but at the same time, it's like it's like my daughter says, my daughter is so smart for her age, but she's like, he's asking for too much. His lists are not realistic.
Mhm.
You know, he has this list where he thinks he's gonna find a perfect woman, and there's no such thing. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then my sister even tries to tell him, you need to kind of drop down some of your expectations, because not everybody's gonna meet your expectations.
Right.
There's certain things that you need to look for, and certain things that you need not to expect, because you just never know.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, and that's where he's at. So he lives out of state, and he's happy, but he's still wishing he would find that person. But he's more in spiritually praying that, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's not, he's
Mm-hmm.
trying to be okay with that. But you know
How's the kids' relationship with their father?
um Not great, not that existent. I mean, they see him maybe like once a month. My oldest doesn't see him at all, of course, because he lives out of
Mm-hmm.
state,
Mhm.
barely talks to him. My youngest goes to see him if he can once a month. I mean, he spent almost a whole year without talking to him because he got
Mm-hmm.
upset because he'll send group texts at times and he's gaslighting them in group texts. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't hear from you guys. You guys don't talk to me, blah, blah, blah. And then he'll say things. And then my son went off on him one time, the youngest one, very
Mm-hmm.
respectfully. But he's like, this coming from a man who is retired, who's not doing anything, and
Mm.
just sits on his couch all day and cannot pick up his phone to see how his kids are doing
Well,
when
Right.
you're not doing anything. He says, but that's okay. Thank you for showing me how to not be a father when I become a father.
wow.
Wow.
You
Well
know,
said.
yeah,
Yep.
and I said,
Good
and I
for
was like,
him.
well said. And then his father, to gaslight him more, would say, well said, blah, blah, blah. But then he'll still say something else to try to gaslight him. So,
Mm.
so they know how he is,
Mm-hmm.
but they try to just when they go, they just see him because this is our dad and we love him, but then
Mm-hmm.
that's it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Keep the
My
distance. Yeah.
yeah, my daughter spent a whole year, almost like 10 months without seeing him as well, because the anxiety, her depression was just too
Mm-hmm.
much. And he would treat her not good at all, him and his girlfriend, because he doesn't trust women. So
Mm.
he was putting her in that category when she was as a teenager, and it was just too much for her. She was suffering a lot, not only with that, but then she was going through bullying at school, and her grades were slipping, and then her anxiety would be way worse when she had to go and stay
Mm.
at her father's.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
The
eventually
trigger.
she stopped going and she stayed by me, thanks to my lawyer, because I had to
Mm-hmm.
get a lawyer a second time, because 8 years after our divorce he was taking me back to court
Oh
to
my
take
God.
away my pension, to take away the pension and all that. So
So I want to
Mm-hmm.
circle back real quick to like once your divorce was finalized. I find it hard to believe that usually usually the wife, especially when there's children involved and there's four there's four children. Um, how is it that he was able to stay with the house?
Right.
Because usually the courts favor the woman. Is it normal in Wisconsin for especially someone with a badge? He's in law enforcement, and works, for public safety or whatever. Um, is it because do you think that because of his role that they favor him?
Wisconsin is a hard state to get a divorce, especially if you get a bad lawyer, because it's a no fault state.
Okay.
Mm.
So no matter what was going on, no matter what he did, no matter the threats, no matter what, they were not going to look at that.
That's insane.
Okay.
Oof.
So that was the reason, and the fact that he knows how to talk and manipulate and charm, because, and then he would use the excuse like, I'm a first responder, I'm a firefighter, or
Right.
I was a
So he
cop, I
used
know the
it. Yeah.
law, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he would use that a lot. And so that's why, and my lawyer didn't fight for me much. And I found out at the end that, because I went to a firm that one of my friends went to,
Mm-hmm.
but the head of the firm
Mm-hmm.
started out with me, but then she gave my case to another lady, which girl at the time, because she was way younger than me, I
Right.
didn't know that I was her first case. So I
Um.
felt like she didn't really handle it right. And so, yeah, so I pretty much lost everything. And, he manipulated the guardian ad litem too,
Right.
big time. And the guardian ad litem hated me because he totally turned him against me.
Mm.
Wow.
And he got into my middle son's head a lot to try to tell him, hey, make sure you tell them that your mother hits you guys. Make sure you tell them that your
That's
mother does this.
crazy.
So then he got into Guardian Lightum's head and told him to talk to him, only to the middle son, not the other
Mm-hmm.
three.
Mm-hmm.
And one day he just told me, which I didn't know all of this was happening. He told me, you got an appointment with the guardian ad litem and you need to take him to see him. And I said, why only him?
Wait, what is
Because he only has to touch.
what is that guardian?
The guardian ad litem is the lawyer for the kids that the court appoints a guardian ad litem so the kids could have a say,
Gotcha.
Mm,
Okay.
which my kids didn't get to have a say because my ex got into the middle one's head only, and
right.
the guardian ad litem only talked to him.
Wow.
Mm,
So I was shocked, but I did what he said and I took him. And when the guardian ad litem just looked at me and he made a motion for me to stop, and he's like, no,
right.
I'm only talking to him.
Mm,
And then when I was done, he's like, you could go now. But the guardian ad litem was always really angry at me, like really like just one word thing conversation with
Mhm.
me. He would never really talk to me. And when we left, I asked him, I said, so hi Papa, how did it go? In the car while I was driving. And he says, well, I told him everything he told me, Paso told me to say. And I said, what do you mean? And then that's when he started telling me everything. And I kind of broke down in the car and I said, why would you say all that? You know that that's not true. And he got scared. And I said, now they're probably going to take you guys away from me and all of this.
Yeah.
And then
mhm.
he started crying. He's like, well, I didn't know. Pa kept telling me to say that. And he kept telling me over and over to say
He
that.
manipulated his
He
kid.
manipulated
Yeah.
everything.
So that's how we were able to just be 50-50. And then one time I even broke down when that was going on and the guardian ad litem said stuff. And we were having a meeting between my lawyer, his lawyer, and the guardian ad litem. And I was like, are you kidding me? I said, what about the time that you called my mom when we were driving back home from Florida, and you called her and you told her that we were the most selfish family ever, and you thought of killing us, and you thought of driving the van over the bridges in Tennessee plenty of times coming
Oh
back.
my
I
God.
said, well, me and the kids were sleeping. I said, and he started laughing, and he just started laughing and laughing. Oh my gosh, you're such a liar. And everybody just looked at me, but nobody did anything about it because it's a no fault state. So then, yeah, so it was just a lot. And
So Maria, after all, all this traumatic experience, did you seek any type of help as far as psychological or like, what has gotten to, how have you survived all these years? What has helped you get to the point where you are now?
honestly, first and foremost, prayer and God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Without that, I don't know what I would be. I did go to therapy um, for maybe the first year while we were going through the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And then my therapist moved. So after that, I was like lost. Like I couldn't find another therapist. I didn't know where to look. And then the divorce things were just getting harder and harder. And then I
Mm-hmm.
stopped looking.
Yeah.
And I know deep down I need therapy still. I need more
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, I dated after my divorce, but nothing ever worked out. Men were just taking advantage because of my vulnerability and things that I got through.
How many years has it been since you got divorced?
10. Yeah, and I haven't dated in 3 years because I
Right.
decided to stop just because I knew I needed to work on myself.
Right, of course. Of course. And for everyone that's listening, this all happened to you. Who are you today? Who's Maria? Like, who are you besides the abuse and all the psychological thing? If someone would to meet you, how would you, what would you say who you are?
That's a hard question. Um, I mean, I want to say that I'm still kind and sweet and honest and optimistic, even though I've
Mm-hmm.
been through so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wish I could say that I was as strong as everybody that meets me and gets to know me and hears my story. They all tell me that I'm a lot stronger than I think I am.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I guess I'm not gonna say I don't believe it, but I have a hard time like realizing that at times. Um, I wish that I could get back the confidence and the self awareness and self assurance that I had before I met
Mm-hmm.
him. I haven't been able to completely get that back. Like, even though at times I think I do, but I still find myself when I'm around other adults
Mm-hmm.
at work or wherever, and we're having conversation, even around my kids who are adults now, um, when they're trying to be funny or witty in certain conversations, and I try to be and I laugh, but then after a certain point, I could feel myself shutting down.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to talk anymore or say anything because I feel like I'm going to sound stupid or I'm gonna be say the wrong things because that's how he always made me feel.
Right.
And he humiliated me so many times in front of friends and family and calling me stupid in front of them and things like that, that it's hard for me socially sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm around girlfriends, I think I'm okay. But if there's men around
Yeah.
in the group, it's harder. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because I have a close friend who's gay I work with, and
Mm-hmm.
he's even younger than my youngest son, but we get along so great.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes me laugh so much. And he is so wise for his age. And he told me the other day, sweetie, honey, he calls me, he says, you don't have to say anything. I can see it. There's times where I see it and I'm like, okay, Maria, you got some spunk. There you go. But then after that, I feel like when the conversation gets deeper or something happens, I can
Mm-hmm.
see you shutting down. I've
Right.
seen that in you, you
Yeah.
know? And he's like, honey, you have to try to be stronger. You have to try to. And I'm like, you've seen it, you've noticed it. And he's like, yes, I've noticed it. And I was telling him because I've told all the coworkers who are younger than me, they're so confident. And I talk to these girls and I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
used to be like that. And I wish I could
Yeah.
be like that again, you know?
And you will.
You're
You
welcome.
will.
You're a work
You
in
you are
progress.
yes, and you are an inspiration. Just hearing your story, you have to realize you are stronger than a lot of other people.
Yeah,
Because
you ended up walking away.
yeah, you did, and that's the most important thing.
Exactly.
You know, like I work for the airlines. So when I'm at work, I'm very confident in my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do my job with no problem. Everything I do in
Yeah,
dealing with the customers, no problem. But when it comes to like more of a close knit setting
personal, right?
or personal, and and the other day, like I want to talk to my kids about that, and I don't know how to bring it up because one of them said to me, "Your social cues are just so messed up," and that really hurt me. That really triggered
Mm,
me because he doesn't understand why they are like that,
mm-hmm.
and it's not like sometimes I'll text something and they take it the wrong way, and it hurts because they don't realize what I've been through, and
Right.
certain words trigger things.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Hey, Mama, you okay?
Yeah, I'm
You
okay now. I didn't think that reliving some of it was gonna make me cry again.
But
It's
that's
been a
also
long. It's
that
been a
you
while.
also that is also PTSD. That's trauma. He went to war and he has his own.
Mhm.
You went through your own war with him, and he caused you to have that. So you also have post traumatic stress.
Right.
And
Yeah,
like you said, any words. Sometimes there are words that'll trigger you. Will
Mhm.
bring back a memory. Something some might do. You know what I mean? A
And
sound.
how long were you married for?
yeah. I was with him 23 years. We were married like
Yeah.
Wow.
17. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the I remember the therapist told me it's gonna take a long time to heal because she says physical wounds can heal, but the
Mm-hmm.
mental and verbal and emotional abuse that takes a long time.
And
Yeah.
on top of that, once the divorce was finalized, you said 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm. In March.
and
It's gonna be 11 years this coming
but he
March.
still somehow resurfaces, and I think he does it to remind you
Mm-hmm.
that you somehow, especially when he was your first, they like to remind you that,
Yeah.
somehow in some way you're still attached to him.
He
Like
still
they
has
they
power
Yeah.
over
they
you.
he still has power over you, and they get off on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been thank God it's been a year now. Um that he hasn't texted me or bothered me or
Good.
anything because I think once he took that 1.3 million from me, 3 million, 10, that whatever, because I only got like 90 grand. Once he took that from me, that I think that was the last straw. So he was content now after he finished hurting me as much as he could.
And he's probably terrorizing somebody else.
Well, I mean, yeah, the person he's been with since before we even got divorced. So yeah.
And she's never reached out to say, "Oh, he's done this to me," or
No, I think she feels embarrassed because she tried to treat me bad, but she realizes because my son tells me that they have a horrible relationship. They both talk bad about each
uh
other. He
Wow.
cheats on her too.
oh
And
wow.
he thinks she's there for convenience, because she's living off his money and whatever.
Mm,
So, yeah, she does
um
whatever she wants, though. That's one
right.
thing. Yeah.
And I just, what would you want, I mean, because you got with him, in your 20s and you went through all this. What would you want someone, listening to this, that, same thing, that either is in their 20s or even older now, because it doesn't even matter what age you are. What would
Yeah.
you recommend to them?
Please, when you see the slightest of signs, not to keep pushing them aside because you love them or you think they're going to change. Try
Mhm.
to seek help right away. Talk to other people that have been through it, or just seek some type of professional help to help you move through that, because you got to leave. You can't stay because of the
Right.
kids, or stay because you're worried about how you're going to live or where you're going to
Hmm.
go. you
Hmm.
you have to try the best to get out of it and not stay as long as I did, because that was the worst. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's
I
still
try to get him to go to counseling. But he said that, for what? So they could tell me things that I don't want to hear or whatever. So it's, yeah.
so at any
Don't
point
stay.
the
Yeah.
courts not at any point they never try to tell them to take anger management.
No.
That is so.
So safe to say the court system over there, the justice system is not really
And what state is this in?
made for
Milwaukee?
women.
Wisconsin, yeah.
It's
Milwaukee.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's Milwaukee's the state.
So you would say that their system is pretty delayed.
I think so. I mean, there's women that
They're
have
not made
gotten
to protect
lucky, have gotten
women.
stuff, but yeah, but it like I said, their motto is it's not a no fault state. So, you know, if you get a good lawyer that really, really fights for you, then you could probably get something good out of it. But yeah,
Unfortunately,
it's
there's
rough.
many families that don't have the resources to
So I think
afford.
that's a
Yeah.
public service announcement for a lot of women who are in
Mhm.
Wisconsin. Just, FYI, you may not be protected in the event that,
Yeah.
you're in an abusive relationship. Just, think about that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And especially if they, depending on the job they're in, and if they know how to manipulate things in the system, if they know the system and the law already.
right.
I think
Right.
it'll be even harder. But, you know, yeah.
What brings you joy?
Um, my kids, my family, friends,
Hmm.
being content and relaxing because now I feel like I could breathe, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I could come home, and if I feel like cooking, I'll cook. If I feel like just um, picking something up and just eating and relaxing, I could pick up
Hmm.
my feet and relax. Where before,
Hmm.
I wasn't allowed to really do that, because if I would be relaxing, he would come home and he would yell, "Why are you sitting down? Are your chores done?" And then I would have to start doing work. So it got to the point where I would panic when he would pull up into the driveway. I would turn the TV off and I would run to the kitchen and turn the water on and pretend I was washing dishes or doing something, just so I
Right.
wouldn't get yelled at.
Wow.
So being at peace brings me joy. Being able to live my life the way peacefully like I want to live it, that brings me joy.
Yeah. How do you see yourself in the next, let's say 2026? What do you see 2026 for you as? And that's just in a few weeks.
Hopefully, my confidence being stronger. Hopefully, being able to communicate in a group of people, whether it's men, and be able to joke around with everybody without shutting down.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Being better financially, and who knows, maybe have eventually somebody special in my life that'll treat
Right.
me the way I deserve to be treated.
Hmm.
A hopeful 2026.
Yes.
Yes.
And Maria, what is something that people don't know about you? Is there something that you know how to do, play an instrument, do you sing, do you know how to cook, do you know how to, what's something that people don't know about you that you want them to know about you? Besides that you're beautiful. I mean, people won't, hopefully
Uh-huh.
people get to see, but you are gorgeous.
Thank you. I uh I mean, I think most people know I love to cook and bake, and
Mhm.
everybody always tries to get me to sell my food and stuff.
Yes.
So that's something that I do love, and that I'm a very besides the trauma, I'm still a very open-hearted and kind person, and honestly, besides all the trauma and all the unfaithfulness, I still don't fear. I'm not a mistrusting person.
Mm.
I'm a
That's
very
interesting.
trustful person, and I
Mm.
think that's what kind of gets me a little bit of in trouble, maybe because I recently started talking to somebody, and it's just brief. This has just
Yeah.
started in the last few days, unexpectedly. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
expecting anything. I wasn't looking to date or anything like that.
Yeah.
But this person seems very genuine for some reason. There's something
Mm-hmm.
about him, and he asked me, "Do you have trust issues?" Because
Mm.
he told me he was open very right away about his past and things.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me questions, and I'm like, well, maybe another time. I think it's too early. I don't want to get into too
Right.
many details. And he's like, it's okay. You could tell me as much as you want. You don't have to tell me everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then he asked me, do you have trust issues? And that got me thinking. And I was like, you know what? I said, honestly, I don't. I think
Mm.
my fear more is not being enough for a guy,
Mm.
not being pretty enough or woman enough, I guess, because of how he put me down.
Right.
I
Right.
think
A lot of that
that's,
ties into that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the more, I guess, the biggest issue I have. Like, you know, they pay me a compliment and then I get like embarrassed or shy and
Right.
I don't know how
Yeah.
to act to that. Or I'm like sometimes, like I even told him, I said, like, the way you look at me when you're talking to me, like, why do you look at me like that? Like, because I don't understand, like, because he just
Yeah.
really stares deep into my face and my eyes. And I'm
Mm.
like, I never had that. My ex-husband never did that. So I was like,
Right.
why are you looking at me like that? So I
Yeah.
guess that's my issue, not trust, but just really, I guess, believing that somebody thinks a certain way of me.
Right. And I think that's what it is, because you've been through so much that he put you down, that just somebody's, giving you a compliment or
Makes you
doing
uncomfortable.
something nice, it's uncomfortable or it's weird or what do you want or, and it's
Hmm.
doesn't
Yeah.
seem genuine. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think, just you going forward, obviously people can't see you. Hopefully, one day they do. That that you're beautiful, that you're strong. You every day look in the mirror. You don't have to be worthy for anyone. You have to be worthy for yourself.
Hmm.
You have to be beautiful for yourself. Everything's for you, right?
Hmm.
And just realize that, at the end of the day, God made you as you are, perfect in his vision,
Hmm. Amen.
right?
Yes.
So,
Hmm.
you are worthy of yourself and somebody's going to see that. And if they don't, that's their loss.
And you
Yeah.
were the most wonderful mama, and still
Yes.
are.
Thank you.
So
Mhm.
Thank you.
todo dia in the mirror, you look at yourself and you be like, yo, I'm a bad bitch.
Yep, that's what
Every
you
single
are.
day. No, it's true.
Hmm.
You are. Don't ever let no one dim your light.
That's right.
Thank you.
And obviously, me and I know you're family with Lay, but I'm also here, and this is a new sisterhood, a new community. So I'm also
Oh,
here. So
that's right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Was there anything else that you want to add, to our listeners?
Um, just don't let it take so long that you don't seek help or get out of it, you know, because there was too many things, too many things that I didn't even share that happened that, yeah, I wish, when I think back now, it's like, why did I let so much go on for so long instead of just
Hmm.
putting an end to it? But I
have you
guess,
have you thought about that now that you've had
yeah,
time?
yes, I have. And, the only thing I could conclude is because he would always tell me, you got nowhere to go. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go with so many
Yeah.
kids? Who's going to want you? Nobody's going to want you with that many kids. So I guess I was always scared to take that step because it's like, where was I going to go live? Where was I going to
Right.
take the kids with?
Yeah.
And the kids love their dad, and they had a good life. They had
Hmm.
everything they ever needed. You know what I mean? Besides the other stuff wasn't good, but I'm saying they were always loved. They were always clothed. They went to
Yeah.
Right.
school. So it's like, how was I gonna leave? What was that gonna look like if I left and took them away from all that?
Mm.
You know?
Right.
Will we be homeless for a while? Will we be in a shelter? Like, I didn't know, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And how was that gonna mess with them? So I just, if you have somebody that you're close with, family, friends, don't be afraid to let your family know. If you don't want your parents to know, fine, but maybe confide in a sister or brother or cousins or somebody, and maybe somebody will open the door so you could get out until you get your own space and, in your own life.
During your 23 years together, were you working at any point? Or did
No,
he
never.
he told you to stay
No,
home?
yeah, I had to be at home. I
That
did,
was
no, actually,
control.
Yeah.
yeah, I did start working after my daughter was born at some point. Um, because we were going on vacation a lot, and he's like, maybe you should get a job so then we could use that money for the vacations. But when I went out and got my first job after being a stay-at-home mom for so many years, I got hired. They were building a brand new Hilton Inn hotel by our house across the street because we live by the airport
Mm.
at the time. So, and I found out through somebody, I don't remember who, a friend or something, they were going to hire. So then I went to the interview. And
Mm-hmm.
because I'm bilingual and all that, they hired me right away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they told me, so then I came home really happy to give him the news. And he sat down and he took the news in for a little bit, and then he started yelling and got upset. Why are you going to work at a hotel? So across the street from the airport, so what? So when the pilots are in their room, they could call downstairs and call for you to go up to their room. And I was like, what? Like, so, it was just crazy things like that. So then
But that's the thing with a lot of these
right?
narcissistic men is
Yeah.
that first they have an issue that you're not aportando, right? That we're low on money and
Mm.
you're not doing anything, you're not taking care. And then the moment that you do, then be like, okay, I'm gonna go out and get a job. Now they have a problem that you're
Yeah.
outside of the house because now they're assuming that you're cheating,
You're cheating.
or
And also that you can make your
Mm-hmm.
life without them.
right. And then they
So
also blame
Yeah.
oh, now you're not taking care of the household. You know what I
right.
mean? It's always a problem.
It's always gonna
Yeah,
be a problem.
it is. Because I wanted to be a nurse for the longest, and he knew that. But I went and signed up behind his back to school. To start, I was going to start as the CNA first and then continue with the
Hmm.
RN program. And when I told him, because I told him when my third son was born that I wanted to go back to school and be a nurse.
Yeah.
And he's like, we'll talk about this another time, blah, blah, blah. He got upset and we never talked about it. So then fast forward like 7, 8 years later, probably, yeah, when my daughter was 2, and I told him, he got really upset and we got into a huge argument because he was yelling at me, why do you want to go back to school so you can make more money and leave me? You don't got the stomach for
Yeah.
that. You're not smart enough for that. So then he
See?
started like that, and then I stopped again and I gave it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a typical playbook.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
typical. And that's also very important to point out to our listeners, because never allow your significant other to stop you from improving yourself or
Exactly.
being
Mm-hmm.
independent. There's
Exactly.
so many women, like of our grandparents, our parents, they
Hmm.
relied solely on their spouse, our
Yes.
mothers on the fathers, and when shit hits the fan, they can't survive on their own financially. So
Yeah.
they feel like they had to stick there.
Well, also remember, right? Back where I mean, if you look back, it was 70s was the first time that a woman was allowed to have a credit card without the signature of her husband. So
Jeez.
this is recent. This is not even like
Right.
our
It's not
grandma,
that long ago.
right? So like
Mhm.
our grandmas couldn't even do anything
Nope.
without their husbands.
So yeah, that's important, to
Yep.
know if you feel that, your significant other is trying to keep you, from growing,
Yeah.
red flag.
It
And
is.
ladies, FY and whoever, FYI, always have your little account on the side, separate from everything. Hay que tener
Yeah.
su
You
dinerito.
have to have your cushion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you never know.
Oh, I tried doing that and that didn't work either. So,
Mm.
Yeah. But that's something
yeah.
that, you can serve as, an
Yeah.
example, sadly,
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't take these proactive steps, unfortunately, there's repercussions
Right.
in the
Yeah.
future. And, so that's a good thing to point out también,
Yep. Yep.
what to look
Exactly.
out for, because it goes back to him having a hold on you and having that
Mm-hmm.
over you. You're nothing without me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what we wish for you, and hopefully when someone listens to this, I'll do kind of little PSA. Maybe we can get you some help. Maybe we can find somebody, maybe a lawyer that can, do something like pro bono, to help you, with that whole situation, financially, that, with your ex, that he took the pension. Maybe,
Yeah.
somebody could do something for you, and help you get, what you deserve.
Yeah,
Thank
23
you.
years.
Yeah,
23
that's
years.
Yeah.
ridiculous. No, I'm
No,
not.
I'm
Yeah.
No,
going,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
going down with like, yo estoy con uña y diente
Yeah, I
peleando.
know.
Because you well earned that. You went above and beyond for that
He
family.
he would he would be selling his ass at the corner to give me money.
Yeah.
Listen, exactly. Eso para dejarlo pelado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pelado y pidiendo. But also, like I also reflect on the years that I remember even as a kid growing up, as a teen, and I would see yearly your Christmas cards come in de la familia.
Mhm.
And you guys were like the portrait of perfection. And to know that there was so much going on behind that, it's really disheartening, like I had no
Yeah.
idea because obviously we weren't talking then and
Yeah.
on that level. But once you told me what was going on, I legit couldn't believe it, and that's how they work. That's how these manipulators
Mhm.
work, that they portray this image of perfection.
Mhm.
So people think that there's nothing going on. And
Yeah.
behind closed doors is chaos.
No, but then when you tell people, right? You tell
They're
people
shocked.
this is, yeah, I mean, they're like, that's
That's
impossible. Like,
impossible.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how can, what do you mean? But he's the most nicest person ever. Like, I've
Mhm.
never got it. And then it's just like, no, they're monsters behind closed
Yeah.
doors.
Yeah. One of his
Awful.
closest friends was like shocked. He's like, "Mommy, but what do you mean? You're always smiling, and I always see you guys together when you come out here to visit, and you guys look great." He's like, "What?" He was completely shocked. Yeah.
Has he lost friends after
Oh
people
yeah.
found?
Yeah. He's lost a lot of friends.
Está
Even
gordo y viejo
before.
también. Ja, qué
Even
bueno. Qué
even
bueno.
before we got divorced, he started
Mhm.
losing friends, and then after, yeah.
Did they start realizing who he was?
Um.
Was he showing? Because sometimes eventually I feel like the mask comes off.
Yeah. Some of them kind of had a feeling. Some of them knew, but they never
Mm.
want to say
Yeah,
anything. They
because you
didn't
did
bother
mention
me.
Wow.
earlier that they warned you to stay away from him, no?
It was the girlfriends of the friends, or the
Oh.
wives
Oh,
of the friends. Yeah.
girlfriends.
But they knew. A lot of them. Some of them knew. And
Yeah,
one of them, the one that I mentioned that he said over my dead body, "Will you be with him?" He always knew.
yeah,
And
Mm.
I ran into him right after my divorce, and he hugged me, and he didn't know that we were divorced. He had just found out, and he says, "Why did you stay with him for so long?" Because
yeah,
he would always treat you so bad. So he knew. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's hard because someone seeing outside, muchas veces you can tell someone, hey, this isn't good for you, and it's true until you don't decide that enough is enough. It doesn't matter what many people say, right?
right.
Right.
That's the thing, and it's hard to see from the outside, somebody getting abused, and it's a tough situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's tougher when you have kids. So if there's
Yeah,
women out there who are going through this and they don't have any kids, get out now. Don't wait until you have
Yeah,
kids, because then it's going to take you even longer to want to leave. It's going to be harder to leave.
yeah.
yeah.
And now your family, your mom and them, how's everyone now, that finally this is over? Do you guys talk about it, or do they say, do
Um
I wish I would have done more to help you? Because I feel like a lot of people have also that type of remorse, like, I should have done something and I
Right.
didn't.
um honestly, no, I don't think I've ever heard that from them,
Mm.
but they're just glad it's over,
Right.
and they just can't believe that it was as much as it was. They
Mm.
knew things weren't right. They knew
Hmm.
he was off. My sister one time got mad at him and told him, "Man, you got issues." And oh my gosh, That was like putting a match to the fire or adding gas to the fire. He did not like that at all,
She
and he
exposed
went
them.
off. Yeah.
That's what happened.
And,
She
and
exposed
she
them.
was young at the time. She was like 18 or 20, I don't
Good.
remember. But she said that to him and he went off. He did not like that at all. So yeah, it's
Maria, did you ever experience this within your own home? Any type of your parents or?
no, my mom and dad no, but my when
Hmm.
my mom and stepdad, sometimes he would get angry. He was like,
Hmm.
he would snap here and there, but that was it. He was
Right.
always working, and then there was times where they would argue back and forth, and they would argue here and there. But my mom, I think, as my mom went through some stuff as a kid and growing
Hmm.
up, and then
Hmm.
as a teenager in New York, and after she met my father, and my father, being unfaithful, and then they got divorced. Eventually, she was a little woman. She was a lot shorter than me, but she has
Hmm.
some spunk in her. I mean, she's full-blooded Puerto Rican, so she has some spunk in her. I'm
Right.
only half, so maybe that's why I don't have the spunk that it takes. I don't know that it
Mhm.
took, but yeah, she really has some spunk into her. But their relationship, it was never physical or anything. It was just a lot
Right.
of like bickering.
Yeah.
Right. Maria, thank
Yeah.
you so much. I really just the fact that you came here just shows how strong you are. And just to let us into such something that's so personal and so traumatic. And we really hope that this helps the listeners out there. And again, anyone listening, I hope that we get also the help for you. That someone's out there and decides, hey, you know what, I'm listening to a story and I can relate, and we can find some help, and hopefully, the rest of your life is seen bright.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yes. All right. God bless you,
Igual, mi
mommy.
amor.
Thank you. God bless you guys.
We just heard Maria, raw, heartbreaking, and familiar in a way that hits too close to home. It's the kind of experience many of us have seen in families, friendships, or lived through ourselves. Maria's a woman who gave everything, believing that if she loved him enough, supported him enough, or endured long enough, he would finally change and recognize her worth. Instead, he used that love as leverage, isolating her, controlling her, and slowly dimming her light until she began to internalize this message that she was the problem.
As we close this episode, Maria's voice lingers, not because of what she survived years ago, but because of how present it still is. You can hear the weight of what she carried in the aftermath of her divorce, and the quiet strength it took to keep her moving forward when the system meant to protect her didn't. 10 years later, her story reminds us that trauma doesn't run on a timeline, and that in far too many states, legal systems still fail women when they are most vulnerable.
Let's talk about the downside of no-fault divorce for survivors. In no-fault states like Wisconsin, divorce doesn't require proving wrongdoing. While no-fault can make it easier to leave legally, it can also feel deeply invalidating for survivors because the abuse may not be named in the divorce process in a way that matches the reality of what happened. And for some survivors, that can look like feeling forced to negotiate or split life assets with someone who caused serious harm. And when the abuser is a respected community figure or civil servant, the disbelief from others can make it even worse. Because people struggle to reconcile the public image with the private violence. That gap keeps abuse hidden in plain sight. And here at the Modern V, we are doing a call for help for Maria. For anyone listening, if you are an attorney in Wisconsin, in the Milwaukee area specifically, or you know someone who can help her pro bono, Maria's looking for legal support related to what she's entitled to, including her share of the pension. If you're a therapist or can refer her to one who offers pro bono or sliding scale trauma-informed care, Maria deserves consistent support as she heals. If you can help, please reach out to us at the Modern V Podcast via DM or email themodernvpodcast@gmail.com. And to Maria, and to every listener who recognizes themselves in any part of this, you are stronger than you think you are. What you lived through wasn't weakness, it was survival. And the abuse does not define you, your healing does.
Maria's truth is not just personal. It's a call to listen closer, question louder, and demand better.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
And be safe in the meantime.
Stay loud.
Stay real.
Stay you.
This is The Modern V.
The Modern V. The Modern V. The Modern V.